Hey, gorgeous miracles. It's Alyssa Rushton here with your April energy update, and we're going to talk about the main energy themes you can work with this month. And before we dive into the month of April, I want to just talk about these last few days in March. I'm actually recording this today on the 28th of March, and this last week, you might have been feeling some rather combustible energy. And if that's you, if you've been feeling this combustible energy, these happenings that might be something that you hadn't anticipated or something kind of all of a sudden coming to light in your world, all of this happening so that you can really engage with the energy of April, which is all about new beginnings that are not here yet. So it sounds like a little bit of a paradox for April, but in essence, April brings on the 1st a new moon and a lot of new beginnings energy. But this new beginnings energy is mostly about a clearing out. And in fact, I'm seeing this image of somebody who's all of a sudden decided to totally transform every aspect of their house and the way they eat and the way they live. And they're kind of looking around their house and they're noticing all the things that don't match up with their new style and their new way of eating. And so they're going to first go through and take out all of these things that don't match the new them. And if you can think about April in this way, I think that it'll be really beneficial for you. You'll really be able to use the energy well, because what can happen is that there's so much energy of new beginnings that we want them, and we want them really fast. But it's just not quite there yet. By the end of April, you're really going to be feeling it. You're really going to be even seeing the new starting to come in. But if you can just use April as your time of alignment with this clearing out, this cleaning the slates, if you will, taking a look at all parts of your life and saying what fits the now energy that I have. What am I being shown that I'm ready to birth, and what's not yet aligned with that? So for example, if this is a business endeavor that you're doing, you can see very clearly that you want to do this new business endeavor, but maybe you don't have some of the foundational pieces of it. April's a great time to put that into place. And I'm literally seeing an image of a business owner putting together workbooks and recording things and getting those pieces in place so that when May and June and July come, it's all together. So think about this time as this time of really knowing that you're ready for something new, but it's mostly about getting ready to be ready. So ask yourself, what new endeavors have been calling to you? What new beginnings are you really wanting and desiring? That's going to give you a sense of where to attend to in your life. For example, you might be really wanting to move to a new place, or you might be really wanting to clean up your basement, something very simple as that, or it might literally be every aspect of your life you want to overhaul it. Here's a little spoiler alert for the rest of this summer and the rest of this year. I'm seeing 2022 as the time of a great awakening and a great alignment to a higher sense of self and to a higher sense of reality and what's possible. So I'm really seeing this time as this time where you can take what you've been learning about yourself over the last 4 years, really. Everybody in the last 4 years has been going through a very specific healing and growth in certain aspects of yourself. For some of you, that's been relationships. Some of you, that's been finances. Some of you, that's been every part of yourself. Some of that has been your health. Whatever it's been, you've been going through a deep and complete transformation in a part of the way that you've been living. And now you're to a place where you've done a tremendous amount of healing work, an extraordinary amount of being out of the old energy, and you're really ready for something new. And yet you might have some more clearing away or getting the slate clean, so to speak. So just really ask yourself, what are you being shown that you're now ready to birth? And really, what have you learned over the last 4 years to even the last 6 months that has shown you what you now need to do to be your best best self. I'm seeing an example of a woman who's been working on her diet and how she fuels her body and how she feeds herself and how she really does know what works for her and what doesn't work for her. And yet this month of April might be that time of kind of getting things solidified, getting it on track and systematized, if you will. But I want to also say this for April. April, while it's got all this energy of new beginnings that aren't yet here, don't worry, it's coming. What you want is actually coming. It's maybe going to feel like it's not happening yet, but that's okay. That's part of this time. And you can just continue to ask yourself the question of, what do I need to have in place to be doing what I want? What do I need to be doing on the daily, weekly basis to be in the energies that I want? And so that's really this time in April, is to take a look at those things and know that this new beginning is coming, but probably not likely until the end of the month and into May. The next energy that's up for April is clearly seeing unconscious loops and patterns. So part of this huge process that we're all undergoing is a process of evolving our consciousness and expanding our consciousness. One of the things that's happening right now, especially this week and into the first few weeks of April, is actually being able to be in a situation and see it in a way that you've never seen it before, to see those unconscious loops and patterns that you've been operating in. I often give this exercise to clients if they're struggling with money or with a relationship, is I'll tell them to write out the autobiography of their relationship with money or their relationship with relationships or their health. And they'll write out this story. And inevitably, when they write out the story of their life around this particular aspect, whether it's money, health, or relationships, there's an unconscious program that pops up. And so this week and this first week of April, you'll likely be able to see the unconscious program very consciously. You're on a new layer of consciousness where it doesn't have to be subconscious anymore. It doesn't have to be these unconscious programs driving our life. So if that's you, seeing the unconscious loops very clearly, it's a beautiful thing. And you can just really ask yourself, what is the biggest spiritual lesson that you're supposed to be learning at this time? You can ask yourself to invite your higher self to co-collaborate with you so that you're creating from a conscious place of soul and higher self and divine will now, as opposed to unconsciously creating the same thing on repeat. And that's really the cycle that we're all trying our very best to get out of, is to create these lives that just repeat and replicate the same cycles of, war on a global scale and chaos and destruction and ill health and all of these things that we've all been co-creating at a very massive scale across the planet. We're being asked to individually, one by one, unplug from the unconscious creation cycle and plug up into something much higher, which is co-collaborating in with your divine consciousness, your divine will, and doing it muchly different. It's a beautiful opportunity this month as well to say no to what isn't aligned. You can practice saying some affirmations like, I'm open to doing it differently. I'm open to doing things in a new way. I'm open to realigning my life in a higher vibration. I'm open to divine changes based in divine will. And you can even say something like, I allow the universe to relieve me from anything that is now too heavy for me. Because as you raise in frequency and raise in consciousness, there will be things that are no longer in alignment with you. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a person, maybe it's a friendship group. And as you raise up in frequency, you can obviously realign some of those things so that they too up level their frequency. But there are going to be certain things that no matter what you do, they're not in alignment. For example, no matter what you do, eating processed food from fast food isn't going to be in alignment with your highest, best, most vibrational, healthy self. just no matter what you do. Same thing with drugs. No matter what you do, taking drugs is never going to be in alignment with keeping your highest, most beneficial level of divine consciousness. It's just not. So there are certain things that are no longer going to be in alignment. And it's really your chance and your opportunity to take a look at those things and begin to clear even more of those out. Now, some of you might be feeling very stripped down at the moment. You might be thinking, gosh, Alyssa, what more, do I need to strip away? And part of what you're learning through this time and through this process is to trust in yourself and your divine connection to create what you need when you need it, and to trust that you don't really need all the things that you once thought you did. That's not to say that you won't have them, but it's not from the same come from. You don't need the things because the ego feels the need to have them to feel safety and all the ways to bolster the self. Instead, you might still have the things in a different way, even because they light up your soul and they feel really good. And I'll give you this example. It's like the kids who really wanted to be the cool kids in school, and they would buy all the clothes and have their hair just so and talk in a certain way. And they were doing things very specifically so that they could be the cool kids in school. And now, years later, none of that matters. And maybe these same kids walk down the street and people think that they're cool, not because they have all the clothes and all the things, but just because they vibrate from a place of love and they are inclusive of seeing all beings as equals and all beings as divine creations. And people just think they're cool and amazing and want to be around them because their vibration feels so nice. So it's not necessarily a physical thing, although these people might very well drive a nice car, or they might very well have good clothes or whatever, jewelry, etc. But it's not because of those things that people think they're cool and want to be around them. It's because their vibration and their frequency and their light that they're emitting. And that's the process. That's the alchemical process that you've been going through, is kind of letting go of needing the old cool kids clothes for the reason to be cool. And you're letting that go. And now you're wanting these new things in your life and new things in your business and in your relationships because you are so filled with love. And because you're so filled with divine connection, and because you love to radiate higher and higher frequencies. Do you see the difference? So it's not that you won't have the same things. It's not that you won't be able to enjoy the same stuff. It's that you'll be doing it for a vastly different reason. So next up with the energy of April is this time of quite visionary inspiration coming through and changing how you perceive reality. I'm personally seeing this like a polishing of the diamond. It's like your diamond's being shifted at its angle so that you can see different facets of reality. And you might get these great sparks of inspiration, these flashes of insight. There might be things that you've been really wanting to do, or things that you want to teach, or something that you want to make and you haven't quite known how. And so this is a great time to just put it out to your divine connection and the universe to just say, hey, send me some information on how to do this in the most easy, lit up way. And you'll get that flash of insight, or you'll get someone that says, here's how to do it, or here, use my stuff to go and do this even. You'll get these little winks and nudges and sparks of creativity. This is a really beautifully charged time. And part of the reason for this is that in order to do things really differently on the planet, each one of us has to do things differently in our internal world, and we have to start making different choices. And there's got to be a group of people who are going to create new structures and new functions so that more and more and more and more and more people can do things differently. For example, you might be inspired to do banking really differently, or currency really differently, or you might be inspired to do workouts really differently. Whatever it is that you've been feeling drawn to and called to, you might receive a lot of creative inspiration around that this month specifically. So be on the lookout, ask for it, ask for the support, ask for the help, and then see what comes in. Because after all, you are helping to create with every breath you take this new earth. One of the biggest energies I feel for this month of April is letting go of the how. As you can imagine, with all of this energy, really forward movement energy, new beginnings energy, you might tend to get caught up in the how. How am I going to make it happen? How am I going to have the funds to do what I'm seeing in my head? How am I going to meet the people that I would need? And so a tip here to really work with this energy is to, as much as you can, let go of the how and stay focused on the what. I often have clients and students draw a triangle on a piece of paper, and you can do this. Just draw a triangle on a piece of paper, and then down the very middle of the triangle, from top to bottom, draw a line. And on the right-hand side, write how, and on the left-hand side, write what. Your job is to stay on the left-hand side. That's your side. Just keep telling the universe what you want. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. I'm focused on what I want. And then the universe's job is to be on the right-hand side and deliver the how. So this is going to be a month of really letting go of the how. Allow yourself to be really surprised. Allow yourself to let it break the bonds of reality that you might have known in the past of how things can come in. For example, maybe you're wanting a new business opportunity and you've got a lot of the things in place and you're getting ready to send out pitch letters, and all of a sudden people just start contacting you to say, hey, can we pay you to do this? Hey, well, by the way, will you come and speak to our group for money? And you don't even really know the how. You just know that you had the things in place that you needed and you hadn't even started reaching out yet, but it's already happening. So this is a great time to stay with your what, and do make sure that your what that you stay with is on a higher timeline, because this time and space in reality, it's very malleable. If you let yourself drift into worry and fear, it can then drift your what into that more third dimensional timeline or that less positive timeline. Just a tip here is to stay in positive expectation in a fifth dimensional world, in a higher consciousness world. Something that a practice that I just love to do every single day is to say, I expect miracles today. I expect peace in the world today. I'm in the positive expectation of peace and people upgrading their consciousness and people awakening more and more and more every single day. And so the more you personally can stay in positive expectation, by the way, this is actually proven in physics. There's a lot of science around this. When the experimenter is in expectation of how the experiment is going to come out, that's how the experiment comes out. So literally, you're solidifying the wave into a photon, which is just simply to say that you're taking the infinite possibility, and by the very simple act of you saying, I expect to see miracles today. I expect to see peace in the world today. I expect to see resolution to this situation. It helps solidify that outcome in the field, that positive outcome. So just by you doing the work, that alignment work each and every day, it helps the planet and it helps you too. Okay, so just a couple of tips and takeaways for this April energy forecast is to just remember you're going to be feeling a lot of energy this month, a lot of new energies of like you want to get started, but just be patient. Expect those miracles. Keep asking yourself to align to the new beginnings that you most desire. Keep asking your higher self to show you what those things are if you're not already clear. Congratulate yourself for all that you've been learning and all that you've grown through and learned through these last 4 years. And really, truly, if you sat down with a piece of paper and a pen and just wrote out all the lessons that you'd learned in a very specific area of your life in the last 4 years. And as I say that, whatever's coming up for you, you probably know what it is that you've been deeply working with. For some of you, that's been really setting the ego aside. For others of you, it's been relationships. For many of you, it's been your relationship to money or your business or your health. So whatever's bubbling to the surface for you, just even even take 10 minutes and write down all the lessons and all the growth that you've had over the last 4 years, because guess what? That is coming to completion. You are not going to have to circle that loop anymore. You know now what's good for you. You're in a different energetic resonance. All of this old stuff is being cleared and cleaned out, and the new is on the way. And I suspect by the end of April, beginning of May, you're really going to start to see the new. It's not that you're not going to see some of the new coming in now. It's just you won't fully really see all that is coming for you until then. So keep staying in positive expectation. It's coming. It's on its way. Keep expecting miracles and peace and blessings and love in your day. I love you so, so much. I hope you liked this video. And if you did, please like it, hit that subscribe bell, and share it with a friend so that they know that they too are supported and they're not alone. They're not going through this great awakening alone. I love you so, so much, and bye for now.